Well, it's a lovely miserable looking day here in Scotland, and today's task is to attempt to change the diesel filter, which is this little bugger at the back here. So there's only one video for a Hyundai i20 on the internet that I can see, and unfortunately the chap that took it had the camera kind of pointing the other way, or missing some of the relevant parts of the video. But anyway, he gave a good idea or a decent indication of what needs to be done, so I'm going to attempt to do it myself. Just going to get my tools together. But what can I say about the i20? It's a very economical car indeed. I bought this car about a month ago. There's 75,000 miles on it. I've had as much as 81.9 miles per gallon out of it, but to be quite fair, it usually gets somewhere around about 70. I mean, 68 to 73 is probably a good average, but I'm very pleased with it. So if I'm getting roughly 70 miles per gallon, certainly can't complain. It also comes with an upgraded set of alloys that I put on myself. It's quite a decent vehicle, very solid. I've been driving a Kia Picanto previous to this, and it's a much more solid feeling car in general. Decent room in it, not the biggest car in the world, but I'm certainly quite pleased with it. Anyway, we shall get the tools out and get cracking and take out all the stuff that I need to get access into the back here. Okay then, that's me for now. Part one over. Well, it looks like the first step I've got to do is to remove the battery. So I'm using a 10mm spanner, slacking off this negative lead first. There we go, it's out of the way. And then let's get this positive terminal. I don't know if that was somebody tooting at me, but I didn't recognise them. So that's that out of the way. What do I have to do next? I presume there's going to be a battery clamp, so I'm probably going to have to remove this air filter. So I'll have a look at how to do that. Alright, okay, there seems to be a bolt down there. And well, that's the only thing I've noticed so far. Looks like it's a 10mm. So I'll disconnect this hose and I'll see about removing this airbox. Well, I've noticed something a little bit different to what I'm used to here. The battery actually had like a cover over it. I don't know if it's to insulate it or from the heat, because as we all know, heat destroys batteries. It's not usually a problem here in Scotland, but looking at the battery clamp, it's not the kind of thing I'm used to. I'm used to either seeing a bar across the battery or a small foot that you bolt down, a little wedge, and that holds it in place. Looks to me like there's some sort of plastic bit that it clips into. So I don't know if I actually have to take out the air filter box, but that's what I'm going to do right now. I just noticed there's another bolt down there, so maybe it's 3 bolts that holds it in. So I've taken this one out and the one over here as well. I can see due to the wonderful Scottish weather, I'm going to have to put a little bit of grease on those bolts because they were a little bit seized, very slightly. So I'm going to have to get this one out. So let's see, yeah, that's loose. I just need to take off this bolt down here and then I'll see how I go. Well, that's the airbox removed. That's given me a bit more room to figure out how to get this battery out. As I say, it just looks like it's clipped in. So anyway, I'll get that taken care of, and I'll be back. Well, I can honestly say I've never seen a setup like this before. The battery slides out, so to get the battery out you have to remove this whatever the hell this thing is, this Bosch controller. So there's a nut here, and then there's two 12mm bolts, definitely needing a bit of copper slip on them. They hold the tray down there, and they also hold the bottom of that bracket here. So you're going to have to remove this to take the battery out. To say that's a bit of a carry on just to change the battery is an understatement, but there we go. So now it's time for me to remove the battery. Okay, so now we've got full and clear access, I believe, to the fuel filter. I've obviously got a connector here, a good sign of mechanic. I've also got a skint finger. I've got a connector at the back there, and I've got one at the front here. So let's see, it looks like you push these together. Push them together and hope for the best. Well, doesn't seem to be very keen to come out, so well, I'll figure that out. I'll get back. So once I've done this point, here's the two fuel hose connectors. There's one at the top there with a green bit on it, and there's one at the bottom with a green bit facing the other way. So I've got to disconnect these two fuel hoses. I'm going to get myself a pair of glasses to put on when I do that, just in case there's some sort of spurt of fuel. And apart from that, I'm going to have to take out these two, what looks like 12mm nuts. And that should give me access to the fuel filter. Okay, let's see how I get on with that. Well, here's a small update. This one comes off very easily. That's this one here. You just push that. Where is it? You just push that little lever in there. It'll come out. This one is easier to slide it off and then turn it round. On the back end you'll see the little lever there to get it off. This one is not really wanting to play ball so far, but I'll maybe just remove the fuel pump first and disconnect the fuel lines and see if I can get a better press on it. Either that or I'll get a pair of pliers and push it together and then try pulling it out. Anyway, that's it for the time being. So there you have it. Well, I put my safety glasses on, push the two green parts in together and just pull off. They come off extremely easily. Probably look like a human fly at the moment with my safety glasses on. They even have padded bits around the rims. But anyway, enough about me. Back to the job in hand. So I'm going to go and see if I can find a pair of pliers just to make sure I'm totally pushing that together, because I'm still not having much joy with that. But that's the last part, and then I've got the two 12mm nuts. Well, once you take the fuel filter off, you can see why that clip wouldn't come out. I'm trying to push in these bits here, thinking that's taken out, but in fact there's a clip at the back that holds on there. So no matter how much I pushed and pulled on this this bit here, that was a red herring, because you have to pull this bit, that bit out. So anyway, now I've got the fuel filter removed. Oh, bit of fuel coming out there. So now I'm going to have to remove that. I've got a replacement in the back of the car. the boot for all our English speaking viewers, and perhaps the trunk for our non-English speaking folks. So anyway, next step, get the fuel filter out. Okay then, well, we've got the fuel filter removed. As you can see, it was getting somewhat corroded looking around the outside. I don't know how clear it is on this cheap Chinese action camera. It's an SJ7000 action cam for those that are interested in that kind of thing. But I'm recycling the diesel because this wood will be getting burnt eventually. So now I've just got to put the new one on, and then we'll put the thing back together, see what that looks like. Well, I've switched over to my Samsung phone to do this part just now. So this is the fuel filter I bought it on eBay. I'm assuming it's the right part. I always hold the part against the old part. It looks to be pretty similar. It looks the same size anyway, but time will tell once I remove the old one. So this one, I'm pretty sure it was like just under £9 delivered. What does it say? Japan parts, fuel filter. So I will measure up the dimensions against the old one once I get that removed. I don't know how difficult it's going to be to remove it yet, but that's the next step. So it looks like I've got to undo a cover there and then slide it out. So here we go. I'm backyard mechanicking here. Trusty wood pile in a jumbo bag, used as a bench. So I've just removed the two Phillips screws. They came out very easily. So there's one there, and then there's one on the other side. You just need to obviously lift up the cable retaining clip and then remove the fuel lines from these whatever you call them, these clips as well. The next thing obviously is to remove this connector, and then let's see, is this a, so that's a genuine, so presumably this is the original genuine Hyundai part. Certainly looks the same. So original fuel filter, 75,000 miles. It's due for change, so anyway, here we go. Well, do you want to see Redneck engineering at its finest? I didn't have the proper sized filter removal tool for this thing, and I did look at a pair of pipe grips that I had, but they weren't nearly wide enough. They were wide enough for a small oil filter. So what I've done is I've jammed in the bottom, taking care to make sure there's nothing that it can turn against, and I've used a piece of well, maybe it's 2.5 by 1.5 bit of wood. Jam it in there, can't move, and it's turning, as you can see. There we go. I'm not going to take it off here to get diesel all over the wood, so but anyway, that worked for me, could it work for you? Well, that's the Japan parts filter installed on the whatever you call that thing. I've no idea what you call it, but anyway, the thing that the fuel filter connects to. I've screwed this back in. Everything seems fine there. Now it's a case of putting it back into the cylindrical bracket and then put it back onto the car. So hopefully I'm not going to have any issues there. Yep, that's it for this section. Well, that's the new fuel filter fully installed. You see I've clipped the fuel lines back in. I've put this cable clip back down. The electrical connector, as I say, has been reinstalled. The two Phillips screws have both been installed. I think this may well be something to do with bleeding the pump, but We'll find out. I'll put it all back together first and then see what happens from there. Well, that's the fuel filter reinstalled. There's a good old click when you rejoin these unions down here for the fuel. I've just given that a slight slacking off. I'm presuming that's the bleed bolt. All the connectors are on. There's one there, one here. Remember that this one, you have to get that off to take the old fuel filter off. It has the electrical connector on the bottom of the filter. So remember to put that round and underneath and clip it back on before you install it. Everything else, as far as I can tell, is okay. This connector's in, that connector's back on. So I'm just going to put back in the battery. Then put these two Tyco connectors on. I'll see if I can prime the pump with the ignition first, but apart from that, I'll actually see if I can bleed it, and I'll push it to get the fuel up. Okay, that's me for now. I've actually decided before even doing, I'm going to prime the pump myself, so I'm pushing down. Oh, that looks pretty much like consistent fuel to me. Yep. Okay, I didn't give it that many pumps. I probably gave it about I don't know, 10 at the most. So we'll see how that goes. Well, don't you love it when a great plan comes together? I've put the whole friggin' thing back together. I don't have any nuts and bolts left over at all, but guess what, idiot? Forgot to put on the battery cover. So, I'm going to take the battery terminals off again and slip the cover over. Wonderful. There's always a fuck up somewhere, isn't there? Well, that's the battery cover installed now. As I say, I've never seen one of these before, so that's a new thing for me. Had a look at my air filter. Looks like that needs to be changed, so I'll get one of them ordered. And apart from that, hopefully it's going to start. So. My pal Adam turned up just during the process. It needed bled a bit more, but anyway, it's fired up. How many pumps do you think you gave it, Adam? 10. About 10, so I gave it about 10 before. The car started up originally pretty much straight away, but obviously there wasn't enough fuel through and there was maybe still a bit of an airlock in there. But anyway, it's ticking over quite nicely now. And well, hopefully everything's good. I'll just turn it off. Yeah, I've still recording. Anyway, there's an extended cut of the video.